Hello everyone, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines, and welcome back to a new video. Formerly, she was known as the Dutch vessel the MS Willem Ruys, the pride of the Royal Rotterdam Lloyd Line. However, her story takes a tragic turn as she meets her end under the Italian banner as the MS Achille Lauro. In today's video, we'll cover the entire story of this remarkable ship from her construction and early glory days to the tragic events that led to her sinking. As I mentioned, she began her life as the Dutch vessel Willem Ruys, owned by the Dutch shipping company Royal Rotterdam Lloyd Line. The ship was ordered in 1938 to replace aging vessels on the Dutch East Indies route. Construction began in 1939 at the Dutch shipyard Royal Company de Scheldt, located in Vlissingen in the Netherlands. However, progress was interrupted by the outbreak of World War II and further delayed by two devastating bombing raids. However, if we quickly look at the specifics of the vessel, the gross tonnage of the ship was 21,119 gross registered tons. Her length was 642 feet. The vessel had a beam of 82 feet. 8 Sulzer engines powered 2 propellers, allowing the ship to reach a speed of 22 knots. She could accommodate 900 passengers. The ship featured a unique superstructure for its time, with Willem Ruys pioneering low-slung aluminum lifeboats integrated into the upper works flanks. The next ship to adopt this design was the Canberra in 1961. Today, this layout is standard for cruise ships, with fiberglass reinforced plastic used for lifeboat hulls. The ship was launched on July 1st, 1946, but was ultimately completed in late 1947. As the Willem Ruys, the ship set sail on her maiden voyage on December 5th, 1947. She quickly became a key player on the Dutch East Indies route. Alongside her main competitor and running mate, the MS Oranje of the Netherlands line. However, after the East Indies gained independence from the Netherlands in 1949, passenger numbers began to decline. One notable passenger was Lee Kuan Yew, who traveled aboard the Willem Ruys as a recent graduate following his studies in the United Kingdom before he would go on to become Singapore's future Prime Minister. On the 6th of January 1953, the Willem Ruys collided in the Red Sea with her running mate Oranje. At the time, it was common practice for passenger ships to pass each other closely for the amusement of passengers. As Oranje approached quickly, the Willem Ruys unexpectedly veered left, resulting in a collision. The Oranje suffered significant damage to her bow, due to concerns she might be impounded for safety checks. The Oranje was unable to stop at Colombo as planned and sailed directly to Jakarta instead. The Willem Ruys sustained less damage, and thankfully no lives were lost. Subsequent investigations revealed that miscommunication between the two vessels had caused the incident. In 1957, English diplomat, author and diarist Harold Nicolson, alongside his wife, the author and poet Vita Sackville-West, spent 2 months touring the Far East aboard the Willem Ruys. Their journey is chronicled in Nicholson's published journal, Journey to Java, which offers a detailed portrayal of first-class travel on the ship during the 1950s, interwoven with meandering literary reflections. After undergoing repairs, the Royal Rotterdam Lloyd Line decided to return the Willem Ruys to the North Atlantic route. She was first deployed on the New York service, and later the route was extended to include Canada. In 1958, the Royal Rotterdam Lloyd Line and the Netherlands Line formed a partnership to launch a round-the-world passenger service. The ships in this joint fleet would sail under the name the Royal Dutch Mail Ships. Alongside the Oranje and the Johan van Oldenbarneveld, the Willem Ruys underwent a major refit to prepare for this new role. She made 2 chartered voyages to Montreal for the Europa-Canada service, before being sent to Amsterdam for a comprehensive renovation from 20 September 1958 to 25 February 1959. The refit transformed her from a passenger liner into a cruise ship. The original 4-class layout was simplified to first and tourist class, with 100 new cabins added and air conditioning installed throughout. The crew, previously Javanese, was replaced by Europeans, necessitating upgraded accommodations. Externally, the ship was updated with new glazing in the tourist class winter garden, a taller forward funnel, and stabilizers. The Willem Ruys now had the capacity for 275 first class and 770 tourist class passengers, with flexible cabin arrangements allowing for a total of up to 1,167 passengers. Her tonnage increased from 21,119 to 23,114 gross registered tons as a result of these changes. On 7th March 1959, the Willem Ruys embarked on her New World service to Australia and New Zealand. She set sail from Rotterdam, passing through Southampton, the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal, Fremantle, Melbourne, Sydney, and New Zealand, before returning via the Panama Canal. The Royal Dutch mail ships quickly gained popularity as a preferred alternative to the British liners. However, by the end of 1964, a significant decline in passenger numbers led to the Willem Ruys being laid up in Rotterdam and placed for sale. In 1965, the ship was sold to the StarLauro line and renamed Achille Lauro after the company's owner. After an explosion on board in August 1965, she was extensively rebuilt and modernized, re-entering service in 1966 on the Sydney-Australia route. The ship was also involved in evacuating the families of British servicemen during the unrest in Aden, and made one of the final northbound voyages through the Suez Canal before its closure during the Six-Day War. In early 1972, Achille Lauro was converted into a cruise ship, but during the process, she was severely damaged by a fire. A collision with the cargo ship Youssef in 1975 resulted in the latter sinking, and another fire on board in 1981 temporarily put her out of service. After the Lauro lines went bankrupt in 1982, the ship was laid up in Tenerife. In 1985, she was chartered by the Chandris line. In 1987, the Achille Lauro was chartered by a private group for the duration of the America's Cup Series in Fremantle, Western Australia. She served as a viewing platform and provided accommodation for 1,400 visitors, as well as housing the international jury overseeing the races. In 1985, a tragic event unfolded. On 7 October, 4 members of the Palestine Liberation Front hijacked the Achille Lauro as she was en route from Alexandria to Port Said, Egypt. The hijackers took control of the ship, holding the passengers and crew hostage, and demanded the release of 50 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons, as the vessel was directed toward Tartus, Syria. When permission to dock at Tartus was denied, the hijackers killed Leon Klinghoffer, a disabled Jewish-American passenger, and threw his body overboard. The ship then made her way back to Port Said, and after 2 days of negotiations, the hijackers agreed to release the vessel in exchange for safe passage. They were flown to Tunisia aboard an Egyptian commercial airliner, but the plane was intercepted by US Navy F-14 Tomcat fighter jets and ordered to land in Sicily. In Sicily, US Delta Force attempted to apprehend the hijackers and bring them to the US for trial, which led to the Sigonella crisis. The 4 hijackers were eventually sentenced to prison by Italian courts, while the operation's mastermind, who had not been directly involved in the hijacking, was allowed to travel to Yugoslavia and escaped. In her later years, the ship remained in service and underwent a reflagging in 1989 following the takeover of Lauro Line by the Mediterranean Shipping Company. She was then known as the StarLauro. On the evening of November 30th, 1994, the ship caught fire off the coast of Somalia while en route to South Africa with 979 people on board. Initially, Italian authorities claimed the fire was caused by a discarded cigarette. However, further investigations suggested the fire actually began in the engine room following an explosion in one of the crankcases, allowing cooling oil to mix with the exhaust. Due to a lack of proper supervision, the fire spread uncontrollably before it was detected. The crew fought the fire for several hours, initially using hoses and later resorting to passing buckets from the swimming pool. Moss Hills, an entertainer who had led rescue efforts during the sinking of the MTS Oceanos in 1991, recalled that pouring water on an oil fire only worsened the situation, making the blaze more intense. By morning, the vessel had developed a significant list and was ultimately abandoned. A small group of crew and passengers couldn't reach the main lifeboats because of flames rising from the hull. Instead, they climbed down a rope ladder from the stern to board inflatable boats. During the evacuation and transfer to rescue ships, 2 passengers were killed and 8 others were injured. The USS Gettysburg and USS Halliburton were among the ships that responded to the distress call. On December 2nd, 1994, the Achille Lauro sank, an event witnessed by a fire tugboat that had arrived to assess the ship's salvageability. The wreck has not been located since.
And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.